Today's topic, we are going to explore developing listening skills in the elementary classroom.
Yes, yes. And this is following along on our series about
Yep.
listening. And when we think about listening in the elementary classroom, we often think about teaching our children the posture of listening.
But first of all, why are we teaching children how to listen?
We are teaching children how to listen so that they can not only get the words
Right.
of what we are saying, but to get the information and also to be able to generate questions
Right.
and the
And their
move
own
forward
opinions
piece and
about
their
it.
own
Yeah.
opinions. So it's
Right.
not just about listening for items.
Right.
It's about listening for information and then using that
The
information.
deep listening.
The deep listening, that's
Right.
right. That allows children to question and to wonder and to
Right.
think. That's exactly right.
And so when I've walked into elementary classrooms, well, let's see, I have students who are sitting right up front, staring right at the teacher. We have other students who are looking out the window. Some are fidgeting with pencils. There's a whole array of activity. So I know the big question, the question usually is, so what do you do with those kids who don't appear to be listening?
And I think that's really important. We know that in the past we have taught listening for children to sit up,
Right.
stare at us, keep their hands on their desks. And that was the posture of listening.
Right.
And it almost gave feedback to us as teachers that people were paying attention.
How many
But-
times? All eyes on me.
That's right. That's right. But really, we do know from our knowledge of children as learners that you can actually listen in that posture, but not necessarily. Some
Right.
children just assume the posture,
Right.
knowing that the teacher won't be worried about them.
But meanwhile, they're thinking about something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And other children who may have their head on the desk or be fiddling with a toy or even looking up to the sky, they don't look like they're
Right.
listening, but they actually
are.
are.
But this is where teachers get really nervous. How do I know that that student is listening?
Right. Without saying, prove to me
Right,
that you're
exactly,
listening.
because you don't want to be punitive.
No, that's
you know,
exactly
are you
right.
listening to me? Yes, I am. Really? What did I just say? I mean, I've said that to my own children.
Yes, I know.
Not in school, though, not in school.
Never, never, never. But that's where the teacher's responsibility comes in, to be always aware of who her students are, her or his students
Right.
are, and to have conversations with them during and after the conversation in the classroom, the lesson or whatever it is. And that gives the teacher an indication of the child's depth
Yeah,
of,
if they're
of
listening.
engagement.
Right.
So a question here and there to the people looking like they're listening, you'll be surprised how many actually
Yeah, they
aren't.
do. Yeah, I know.
And you'll actually wake them up sometimes. They'll say, what?
Yeah.
I thought if I sat this way, no one would ask me
Yeah,
a question.
exactly.
And the children who are sort of, slouching off, you'd ask them a question and they get it.
Right.
So, and again, it's not asking a question to trick them.
No.
It's engaging them in the conversation and not assuming that just because they can't answer one
Right.
question, they're still not listening. Maybe
Right.
it was just tricky. So you look for a variety of indicators
Mm-hmm.
of listening. And then if you have children that you find aren't listening, then you have to teach them how to
Right.
listen.
And I was going to say, and then, how, I find this amazing because I worked
Yes.
more in a secondary classroom.
Yes.
How do you teach that type of skill?
I'm going to give you one quick
All
little
right,
idea.
quick tip.
Quick tip. And one thing is to begin your teaching of listening by going in the totally opposite direction,
Mm-hmm.
by teaching an appreciation of silence. So you turn off the lights,
Right.
you close the windows, everything possible can be silent. And actually, elementary kids love a few
Right.
seconds where everybody's not allowed to move.
Right.
But there's a purpose for that, because as there is silence, they are listening for the ambient sounds in
Right.
the classroom. And now they're not just naming the sound,
Right.
they're naming the sound and giving the sound meaning. So then
They could draw the sound.
they could draw the sound,
Yeah.
arts-based pedagogy.
There it is.
Then you could do something like open a window and allow a few more sounds
Right.
to come in. And again, they might say, oh, it's a bird singing or
Right.
it's a truck going by. That's the right answer at a superficial level. But what is the meaning of the bird singing or the truck
Right.
going by? So you,
Yeah.
by taking sound away and starting to appreciate, that allows you to appreciate sound. And then you take that really quite fun
Right.
activity and turn that into how, as we are listening to
Right.
teachers talk and others talk, how do we gather information?
Well, and you've just proven that you don't need to be making eye contact. Because if
Right.
you're listening to the ambient sounds, you're not necessarily being able to see them all. Or if you open the window, you're not going to see the bird, you're not going to see the truck, but you're listening. So you've just really demonstrated that all eyes on me isn't necessarily a prerequisite for listening.
Wonderful way to end this conversation. And we will continue
Yeah.
it with listening at all levels and
Yeah.
among adults as well.
Great.